Welcome to the Accessibility Summit, sponsored by the Southwest Center on the ADA at ILRU, Independent Living Research Utilization, endorsed by the Joint Council of Extension Professionals, and hosted by the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture Cooperative Extension Service. I'm Julie Robinson with the Arkansas Extension Service. We are excited to have Amy Cole with us today. Amy is a Digital Media Program Director with the University of Arkansas System Division of Agriculture Cooperative Extension Service, and she oversees the statewide Arkansas Extension Facebook and Instagram accounts. Amy recently had the opportunity to be trained one-on-one by Raul Gallegos, an assistive technology trainer with RGA Tech Solutions. RGA focuses on quality and affordable assistive technology solutions. So Amy, combining her training with Raul and her own experience, is going to be discussing best practices for creating social media that is accessible. During Amy's presentation, we're also going to meet Eric Yarberry, a graduate student at the University of Arkansas Little Rock and an instructor for Lions Services for the Blind. Eric recorded video for today's presentation to provide us an opportunity to understand how people with vision impairment experience social media. So with that, Amy, I'll turn it over to you.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this Friday. And especially thank you for being interested in this topic, which is really important as social media gains new ground especially within extension. It's important to make sure that it's accessible to everybody, including those with any kind of disability or any kind of different need, that we want to make sure that our extension information gets out to everybody. As Julie mentioned earlier, Eric Yarberry is going to be in a video that we have later on at the end of the session, and Raul consulted with me on several occasions for several of the slides today. We wish they could have joined us today, but due to the magic again of technology, we are going to have some information provided from both of them for this presentation. So what you're going to learn today, we're going to talk a little bit about assistive technology for mobile devices specifically, because most social media is accessed through mobile devices. We're going to review the major social media platforms, especially those that you're probably using for your extension platforms, and some of the issues that some of them have with accessibility specifically. I'm going to give you some actionable tips for your social media posts so you can make them more accessible to those with special needs. And then we've got a video demo, as mentioned earlier. And then hopefully if we have time, we're going to test your skills so we can have you have the same experience that some people who use assistive technology on their phones experience when they access social media. So there's a wide range of people who use social media. It's not just those of us who have full vision and hearing. It's all kinds of people use social media, and we're not just talking about people who are visually impaired or hearing impaired. There's mobility issues, cognitive issues, and you need to be thinking about those things when you're creating your social media posts. I'm going to give you a little bit of information here about the three of the major platforms: Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. There are specific accessibility teams for each one of those platforms. For Twitter and Facebook and YouTube, these are some links that you can follow that have information. These are the special teams assigned for accessibility for those platforms. So you might want to hang on to that if you do ever have a question about any of your posts specifically. So I'm going to cover some tips. So 6 tips. First, we're going to talk about using plain language and no acronyms. I know it's hard to get away from with extension. Using camel case hashtags, it's really important. And using image descriptions, video captions, link shorteners or descriptive links, and then providing your content on more than one channel. Mainly you want to make sure your content is accessible. If they can't access it through one way, you need to give them another avenue to get that content. So the first tip is to use plain language. I know when I first started working at Extension a few years ago, it was a labyrinth of acronyms, and I'm still not sure what some of them mean. So be careful with your acronyms. Use words that are common and easy to understand. Again, with Extension, we're research-based, so you want to make sure that you explain some of that scientific jargon a little bit better for people, because if a screen reader is going through it, it's not going to be able to read those acronyms or any run-on sentences or long descriptions very well. It's going to be hard to listen to. you're going to want to write in the active voice and not the passive voice. So I have an example of passive versus active voice here. It's shorter and it's easier to follow, not just for people who are using assistive technology, but it is just easier for everybody to understand. So you're going to want to shorten a lot of that long text that some people I know really get excited about. Some of our researchers really enjoy writing long missives, and just for digital media, shorten it, make it easier to access. So this is a screenshot of what it looks like when you're turning on VoiceOver for an iPhone specifically. And a lot of the slides I'm going to touch on today are going to show you how people interact with that who have vision vision issues. And when they turn on VoiceOver for either their iPhone or their Android device, this is what they're using to access the social media. Again, this is going to show up later on in our demo too. All right, I'm going to start first with Twitter. I know a lot of people use Twitter, a lot of our ag people use Twitter, and the main part about Twitter that makes it fun are the hashtags. Well, if you've seen people smoosh together lots of words in a hashtag and they don't capitalize some of those words, it gets really hard. It's almost like a URL that URLs typically don't have capital letters, and it gets really hard to read. And so we have an example of that later on of how a screen reader hits one of those hashtags, and then it's really like, what does it say? And so you want to make sure that you capitalize each of those words so that the screen reader can then tell that there's separate words in a hashtag. You want to keep your hashtags about 3 or 4 per post. That's just good practice for any social media. And additionally, this was a fun bit that I learned. The official hashtag for accessibility on social media is hashtag A and then 11 and then Y, because there are 11 characters between A and Y in the word accessibility. So that is the official accessibility hashtag. So just FYI, just learn a little something new every day. If you've not heard of this, this is a lot of fun. This is one piece of software that Raul told us about. It's called Nugget. And this is specifically to access Twitter on a desktop computer. So this is it's about $15, and it is for those who want to access Twitter. And this is a software, I don't know why it's called Chicken Nugget, if that's a question that you're thinking. I'm not really sure the name, why the name came from it, but it is especially made, and Twitter actually promotes it to use for those with vision problems, and it allows Twitter to be more accessible, specifically on a desktop. So when you upload a photo, pretty much to any social media, and I'm including it here in Twitter because it is also important for all social media, is to include an image description. This was covered earlier this week in some of our other sessions, but you do want to make sure you have contextual information. So this is from Nick Sider. He's one of our bug guys, as I like to call it. And so he's got a photo here of a sorghum midge, because we all know what that is. But anyway, there's a sorghum midge, and they're like teeny tiny. And in his photo, it says, for those with hashtag sorghum, here's the sorghum midge. So luckily, I know if I am having this read out loud to me, at least I know, oh, okay, so there's at least something called a sorghum midge in the picture below. Look right at flowering, 1 per head is threshold. Tough, but not impossible to hashtag scout. So I'm going to assume that in that picture, there's like a little teeny tiny bug on some sort of plant. I'm going to show you another example here. This one is from Bob Scott. He is one of our weed specialists. And I'm not going to go too much into what dicamba is, but in Arkansas, it's a big deal right now. And so it's a type of pesticide that tends to drift from field to field, and it's causing all kinds of problems. But when I saw this photo, and then I saw his description, it said some farmers taking this dicamba drift problem into their, pardon the spelling error, own hands. And then I thought, what does that mean? And all I'm seeing in the picture is a tractor, and it looks like it's spraying something, but I'm not really sure. And then I saw the hashtag hooded boom. And so I thought, oh, got it. So a hooded boom means a sprayer that's covered so it's not going to drift. And so that's an interesting, I had to put that together. It was a little hard for me to put together. And so it's one of those things where he was sort of talking to his clientele, which is probably going to know what a hooded boom is. But anyway, so there's a lot of things that could be improved on this particular tweet, but this is a good example of a hashtag that actually helped explain things, and but still could be worded a little bit better. This is actually from, this photo here is a screenshot from Twitter's accessibility page, which is a side-by-side. On the left, we have coolest clouds I've ever seen. Well, dang, if I couldn't see that picture, I would really wish I knew what was going on in that picture. And the one on the right is far more descriptive, where it says a field of wildflowers with hills in the background and clouds overhead. I would even go a little differently with it. I would say, you know, if you were actually going to make this read a little bit better, you might have something along the lines of field overlooking the Ozarks with dark storm clouds rolling in, indicate something, something. I don't know. There's a way that you can make it accessible and still have it make sense without being too obvious to those who don't have vision problems. It's definitely a skill that you can learn, but I thought this was a good side-by-side comparison. So Facebook, which is the big elephant in the room with social media, so Facebook is massive, and almost everybody, billions of people have Facebook accounts now. And so you want to make sure that when you add a link post, which are the #1 type of post that I make on our social media account here at Extension, those photos that show up in the links, so say you're going to add a link to your website, and it pops up that automatic photo. Well, that photo is not read by screen readers. It doesn't even tell them that there is a photo there. We learned that when Eric was here and he was going through with his phone, and I said, well, could you tell there was a photo there? And he said, no. And I thought that was fascinating, which sort of makes sense because the text above it, in my mind, is supposed to explain the link that people are both about to click on. So the photo is really more of a supplement. It's really not the main gist of what it is that's happening in this content anyway. But I just thought that's interesting. So just make sure that if you do have a link post, that if the photo does have some sort of contextual meaning, that you do explain that somewhere in your caption. Image posts, for example, in contrast, they need relevant captions for sure, because if you upload a photo, this photo actually came from Instagram. So a lot of people post from Instagram to Facebook. And so this one is a Throwback Thursday that I posted a few weeks ago, which ended up kind of being pretty descriptive. Even during World War II, our agents were still in the fields helping growers with their crops. So even in that, it says, pictured here is an agent performing a pesticide application demonstration in a Lonoke County cotton field in 1942. When I posted this, I thought it would be important to tell people what is happening in this photo, because it's black and white and a little blurry, it's a little unclear what's going on. So I went a little bit further than I normally do, but it ended up making the photo fairly descriptive. I mean, people know that there's actually somebody spraying pesticides in a cotton field. So I thought that was, this one worked out pretty well, but it also shared from Instagram to Facebook. And as we'll see later on, Instagram isn't always the most accessible friendly platform. Images with text on them. This is a thing that I see all of the time. Extension, I mean, everybody's sort of guilty of it, but we want to kill several birds with one stone. We're all really busy, so we want to make, say, a JPEG image, and we're going to slap all this information on it. I've seen this especially about events. People are really bad about creating events and then adding a whole bunch of different text in the picture. And so we want to make sure if you do that, then you're going to have to reiterate what's in that picture somehow in the text. Not only, I mean, sometimes I have trouble seeing some of this text. It gets really small. So this is one to be very aware of, not just with social media, but with websites as well. One thing that Eric did mention, that using the mobile Facebook on desktop offers better accessibility for visually impaired users. So this is a side-by-side screenshot. On the left is the m.facebook.com. So if you happen to be at a computer, you can go to m.facebook.com and it's going to pull up. What that is just a stripped down version of Facebook. So on the right, you can see all of these different apps and things and trending and news and ads and all that kind of stuff. And so it's really a kind of a clutter of information on the right. But the M, the mobile site, it pares all of that down and makes it a lot easier for them to get through with their screen reader. So that was just an interesting thing that he mentioned to us. He also said he never uses the Messenger app. He said it's not accessible at all to those with vision issues. So just FYI, if you're messaging people and they do message you and they're trying to communicate with you, just know it's really not very accessible for those with who are using a screen reader. So this is going to be short. Instagram and accessibility, it's not accessible to those, at least with vision impairment. You'll see a demonstration of this later on, and it's pretty enlightening. But Instagram is a great way to share photos. It's very image-based, but you can also share Instagram photos on Facebook because Facebook owns Instagram. And so when anything you pop onto Instagram and you know you're going to share to Facebook, go ahead and put that description in there. It's great for several reasons because you can include keywords. And so the more keywords that you can put into that caption, it's going to make it easier to find your content through any kind of word search. So this is one where he actually went through this photo, Eric did in our demonstration. He said, oh, I assume there's a picture of blackberries there, but I really don't know what makes it amazing. Well, what makes it amazing, as we know, is if we can see it, are 5 very huge blackberries in someone's hand, and they're abnormally large. And this post did really, really well for us, both on Instagram and on Facebook. And I just want to make sure that in the future, if we have some sort of amazing photo like this, that we go through and make sure that we describe it a little bit better. You know, blackberries the size of the palm of your hand or something like that. So it's going to make it fun for the reader to read, but also screen readers. It's going to be easier for those. Oh, this is a sad slide, but it is I saw this on Instagram, and it is jam-packed with information that's it's got a green background with teeny tiny white text. It was hard for me to see it because it was on my phone, and I said, what is that? I could barely see it, and so I did a screen grab of it and sent it to myself to include specifically. But this is one of those things where they even have a disclaimer at the bottom. I'm not sure anybody could read most of this slide, but in any event, make sure that, again, if you're going to have text on pictures, reiterate it in the caption. And in this case, it wasn't. They were trying to have the picture speak for them in every case, and that's not always a great thing. So Snapchat, some of you may have 4-Hers out there or may have 4-H Snapchat channels. Just know that Snapchat is not accessible to those with vision problems at all. But for the hearing impaired, I did find this information. There are some pros and cons to it. They are able to face-to-face through sign language, and so they are able to use it for communication. For the younger users, they say it's easy and fun to use, and they're able to comprehend another person's definition for things through Snapchat. So it is accessible to some degree for those with hearing issues, but the problem is you have to sign with one hand while holding your device in the other hand, because a lot of this stuff you have to press and hold a button, and so you have to get pretty dexterous with your hands. And then when you're watching a hearing person's story, there's no way to have a caption. So it's sort of, you know, kind of a clunky platform, but it is usable for some people who have hearing impairment. So that brings us into YouTube, speaking of video and video accessibility. I know we've covered this earlier this week, but Facebook Live specifically does not have live captioning right now, but it is available after broadcast. And so maybe that's something they're going to be thinking about doing soon. I heard that they are thinking about doing that. Videos always should be captioned, always, always. And use high quality audio. This is a big problem that we've had with some of our agents who make videos, and they're out in the field and it's windy, and mainly wind has been an issue, and just it's hard for anybody to hear that. So you're going to want to caption that. Also, when the videos come up on your screen on Facebook, they want to default to using the captions. So a lot of people, I know a lot of times when I see video come up through my Facebook feed, it has the caption up there, and I really appreciate that. You're going to want to add video descriptions. So when Eric went through and kind of tried to hit some of our videos on our Facebook in the demonstration, a couple of them didn't have a caption. Well, this one in particular that I'm showing you here was a video taken from Instagram to, again, Facebook. And so there was no way to pull over that description in the field in Facebook. And so you need to go back and make sure you have a description of what's happening in that video for search engine reasons, but also for accessibility reasons. And you want to really review those captions and edit accordingly. I went back, this is one of our agents, our Pulaski County ag agent. He was doing a straw bale garden demonstration. And it was kind of hard to hear him because it was in an auditorium. And I went back and I thought, well, that's not what he said, because I was there taking the video. So I had to go back and edit a lot of what he said. And you can go back by the second, I mean, frame by frame. So this will also encourage you to hopefully make shorter videos, because shorter videos are going to be way more accessible for everybody, because not everybody has a lot of time to watch videos. So if you can, go back and edit those videos if you've posted them and you don't have captions in there. What's kind of funny about some of these videos is when YouTube specifically tries to invent its own captions. So what was actually said in this screenshot, it says, that's your special friend Butterfly who came to say hello to you. Well, as you can see in the caption, what's your special prompt to prevent fraud reform is probably not what that kid said. So there are a lot of funnies out there. If you want to Google some of them, it's a hoot, because some of the caption fails out there are, some of them are funny, some of them are tragic. So you really want to make sure that you go back carefully and watch your videos and make sure the captions are correct in there. So a few more additional tips is to provide content on multiple channels. Make sure to add your contact information, or whomever is in charge of the social media for that platform. You have to make sure that there is somebody that they can contact, because if there's information, say about an event, and say you had it in a picture, and they couldn't, their screen reader couldn't get to it, or there's some issue with it, they're going to go to that contact information. I know I would, and find out who do I call? Who would I call to get about more information about this? And also, if you're going to have content, add a link to the website. This is just good digital media practice, is anytime you post anything on social media, try to drive that traffic back to your website, because then you can go back in analytics and make sure that that's a referrer to your website. So that's my soapbox I get on about any kind of other digital media. Always drive it back to the website, whether it be a newsletter or social media. And it's the same thing here. It might be a little easier for you to control the accessibility on your website than it would for example, Facebook or Twitter. So making your links short and actionable. I mentioned this earlier. The words click here are the bane of my existence. I have to go back and fix that or learn more. So you want to make sure that I always associate this with, imagine there was a door you're going to walk through and it said enter here. Well, where am I about to go? I don't know where I'm going. So imagine that it's a door to some other place. Well, it's the same thing. A link is like a door, and you need to tell them where they're about to go. And also those screen readers, when they hit www.uax.edu, that's really long and obnoxious to have to listen to. So just say, would you like to visit the extension website, and make that an actual link to the website. So the screen reader is hitting that, and they know, oh, I can click on that. I'm going to the extension website. So it's good on several different levels. I use Bitly quite a bit, because some of our pages are buried fairly deep in our website. So I go over to Bitly. It's a free service, and you can customize those links. And so I'll usually make a link shortener. If you can't have your web team make a shorter link, then you can make a link shortener through Bitly. And it's just been a real help for us, because then we can use that Bitly on our social media posts too. There are several types of assistive software. Zoomtext for magnification, for those who can see, but they're just a little, they can't see everything. They just need to enlarge it. So Zoomtext is used quite a bit. I mentioned Chicken Nugget earlier for the desktop. Twitterific is great for the iPhone. So there are several options for Twitter. Again, Facebook is a little different because it's more image-based, but Twitter does have a few more options out there for assistive technology. So I am ready to show you the video demo with Eric, and so we're going to go ahead and get started with that.
If there are no descriptions, my phone just tells me no automatic alt text. No automatic alt text available. So for the photo that I'm on, I don't know.
So the photo that you're on there is another one of those pictures that has text on top of it. So it's a picture of a crop, and it has the word dicamba with a little no symbol on top of the word dicamba, meaning you can't spray dicamba.
Right. Okay.
And our followers would know that, but there's no way you would have any idea what that means necessarily at all.
So this post, and I know most of these are coming from Instagram. This photo for the 4-H, was it archery or shooting?
Mm-hmm.
That one, there's no, it's a good, I mean, it would be an ideal description. If you read it, you would think nothing's missing, but I don't know what the pictures of. Like in the earlier ones, like you were saying, you could be more creative and actually write, kind of intermingle, I don't know, the description of the photo in with your caption. There's nothing in here that would let me know. I would assume it would be like a group picture or just like a landscape shot of like the shooting range or a medal or a certificate. But that's my imagination. I may be going over the top here.
Well, it's not far off. It is a group shot, and in front of all these staged kids are all their trophies, and the trophies are sitting on a table. At that point, say if you clicked over to the website from there.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see what happens with that.
Oh.
Okay. And so there should be a link. That thing on right there. Right there.
So, okay, the way this works, I just did it. But the way that works is it's kind of, there's two parts to it. So it'll be your introduction, and then I can swipe right and it'll take me to the link. I would only know that's a link based on if I wait to the end or if I just know.
If I happen to say in the text, check out our website in the link below or something.
Right. Then I would know. See this one actually, it'll say image. Yeah, so
it's just it's a story. But there was no, so there is a link in there, but it didn't tell you about the picture. Okay. I'm going to give you my phone, because I don't know how to do that. The magic.
Turn on voiceover.
Okay, I turned on voiceover.
Oh, we got us a British man.
Oh, yay, Amy.
Listen.
I call him Keith Urban.
For the optimal experience using VoiceOver with Twitter, we recommend that you close the app and reopen it while VoiceOver is on. Okay. Words, containers, headings, words. Okay. Button. Okay. Jeff Bullis.
We're not going to do that.
Infamo, Stephen Spencer.
So
Trying to spend less time tweet. Notifications tab. 5:46 p.m.
This one's huge.
Status 5:46 p.m. 5-4 rows 1 to 5 of 20. Shay Christmas retweeted your.
Oh, now the video's fine. There's no sound to the video, and there's no words. It's just a video of bees on flowers.
Okay. So with this, I would have no idea.
Hashtag 0 tweet time. Jude place. Arkansas 2 retweets. Button place.
Yeah.
Can you tell there's a video there?
Tweet time. 0
just
6.
Just because it gives me the time
0 3.
and the countdown. I would know it's a video, but it doesn't. The way that it reads the app, it doesn't tell me that there's actually a video.
Hashtag tweet option Mary High composed Mary Hightower. Tweet options button.
So yeah, there's no indication
Hashtag bees are really good.
that this tweet is actually containing a video.
Hashtag run lit.
So with social media, you're going to have a lot of stuff coming in at you, so many different angles anyway. I wonder if there'd be a way to like let people know that what the description is by using hashtags or by using, because that's a means of communication that people are using to let you know how you feel about something, what you're doing, when it happened. So if there's any way to take those hashtags and kind of re-aim them at the description of the video.
Okay.
Because you're limited to characters. That's the catch to Twitter. So I think it really has to do with the touch screen and how people interact with the touch screen. I don't use a touchscreen laptop.
Okay.
So I think that's a big deal too, because if you're blind, of course you can't see what's on the screen. You gotta kind of feel around and interact with the feedback you're getting from VoiceOver. But if you're using a desktop, you can just streamline straight down the page. And the idea is that if you keep swiping right, like I was doing earlier with VoiceOver, you're going to be going straight down the page. But what happens if you accidentally touch the time bar at the top? Well, it's going to take you right back to the top of the page. So it's not so much as what you do with your site, besides adding descriptions to your photos.
Right.
It's really just what accessibility software people use. So I think there's a lot of perspectives you could get on that.
So the way Instagram works is just a picture and below it a caption, and that's it. I mean, there's really not a lot of anything. And that's the different stories.
Right.
And that's what Snapchat introduced and then Instagram stole. And then
Right.
And that's one of our agents. It's actually a photo taken by one of our agents. No, wait. Who is that?
That's Darren
Henderson. So that's Darren Henderson. So there's a little picture of him to the left, and then to the right, Mr_Kimball_R is his handle on Instagram.
Preview button.
Oh, okay.
Button.
So that's like his pages. Those are his posts. And you can kind of scroll through.
Darren G. and following. MR_preview. Preview. MR_Kimball_R.
Yeah, so these, the photos, I'm assuming.
So like, can you double click on one of those?
It just says button.
Button.
So can you scroll down to the caption below it?
Comment. Save.
There you go, there's
18
caption.
minutes ago. MR_Kimball_R Livestock Show Camp 2017 is a wrap. Have a bunch of tired animals and kids. Huge thanks to all those involved. You need to make plans. More.
So then you have to click more to get to the rest of it.
Back button.
what a pain.
MR_Kimball more options. MR_Kimball_R. More options. MR_.
So this is not accessible at all, which is why
Followers.
Pro was also
7
telling us.
following. 100 following. Selected. Main feed tab.
So I lost my post.
You're now back to Darren's. Yeah, click.
Photo by @MR_Kimball_.
Click what?
I guess, yeah, click on that one.
Back button.
There you go. And there's no way, it says, finally getting the cart out for the first time this season.
Comment. Send. Save.
See if I can find that.
Liked by Chelsea Aaron.
There you go, right there.
MR_Kimball_R finally. Getting the cart out for the first time this season. Hashtag office number 38 Henderson.
Okay, perfect example. The hashtag says go fast, but he's got it all lowercase.
Yeah.
So that's
Gophist.
where you need the camel case. Go, capitalized G and then capital F.
For fast.
And I guess it would read it
it
go
would
fast.
be go fast.
All right, so hopefully you enjoyed that video, and it was as enlightening as it was for us to shoot that video. And what we're going to do right now is go into getting out your phones, if you have a phone near you, which I suspect you might. So go ahead and get your phone out, whether you have, especially if it's a smartphone specifically. So if you have an iPhone or an Android, there are a couple of settings if you're not familiar with it. I'm going to have Julie, we have iPhones here, so Julie's going to join us. And so welcome Julie. And so she's going to turn on VoiceOver. So if you have a phone, you can push the home button and turn on your VoiceOver. So all you have to do is push the home button,
turn on voiceover.
Okay, I turned on voiceover.
Okay, so now when you navigate your phone, it's now saying it's very fast, by the way. So
Calendar, Friday, July 14th. Double tap to open. Actions available.
I encourage you, if you can, to close your eyes and do this and actually navigate it the way someone who has vision issues is going to navigate it. I know we are not accustomed to the very, very fast speed that it defaults to. Eric slowed it down for us so we could actually understand it. But it is really getting used to a different type of interactivity. And so if you're ever curious about any of your social media and if it is accessible or not, try it. And so that is how the majority of people do use assistive technology on their phones to access social media. And so I thought that was a really neat thing that almost any of us can do because it's on almost every phone, I believe. So if you want to give yourself, some fits initially and turn on voiceover, give it a shot. And I know it was really enlightening for me when I tried it. And it really is a great way to test out your own content.
Well, thank you, Amy. And thank you to our participants for joining us today.